And so, I mean, we want to ask you some questions here. And I know that Cherie wants to share some questions about leadership and some of the influences in your life. So take it away, my sister.
But before we do that, hold on, because so Kimy, you shared who affirmed. You said your brother-in-law, right? Your sister.
Yes.
Pastor Naomi, who told you you could do what you're doing now?
You know what? It was my youth pastor. He was amazing.
Okay.
Like, I was probably 13 years old the first time he had me preach at youth group. He said, hey, guess what? Next week you're preaching. I was like, what? He's like, come ready.
Yes.
He didn't even look at my notes. He just let me have the mic. And he was just like, share the scripture and share what God put in your heart. And it was just like shocking to me that he would hand the mic over to me that way. And even moving forward from that point on, when I was in high school, I started a Bible club. And literally in that Bible club, I had teachers and people who were saying, like, you shouldn't be leading a club. I remember listening to Christian radio at that age and hearing these two men converse about how women should not be leading in the church. So I literally called the radio station.
Awesome.
Yes, you did.
I sure did. And I said, hey, like, I want to start a Bible club in my school, and I want to be able to preach Jesus to everybody who comes to the school. Are you telling me I could only speak to the girls in the school? What's going on?
Wow.
And their response, I mean, think about it. These two grown men have the opportunity to speak into a young woman's destiny who's going to share the gospel in a space where it's absent. And their response was, well, as long as there's not a male leader, you can lead.
Oh, no.
Is that painful or what?
It's painful.
I was glad that I went back to my youth pastor and I told him what the radio men said. And he's like, do not listen to that.
Yes.
And so it was very encouraging to me to have a man of color, affirm the calling on my life, and also open a path that would give me the opportunity to begin to practice the gift that God had given me.
That's so good.
So one of the things that I know is that what's hysterical is historical. So your troll, somebody told her a lie, and she's carrying that forward.
Yeah, she is.
And that's sad, right? Because she needs to be released from that to understand her leadership potential, just like you have. All right, so let's get past the troll and the lies of women who, aren't able to lead, aren't able to preach. Let's get past that because we are affirming, yes, you can.
Yes.
Now, Kimy, I want to hear about what are you doing right now in your leadership journey that is energizing you? It is just giving you life.
Wow, that is a great question. I think right now, the past couple of months, I have just been taking hold of the grace that comes along with ministering. Sometimes God gives you a word to share, and sometimes you have a word in your head and you're like, is this from God? I don't know. Should I share it? Should I not? Right? And God is like, man, I'm present with you at all times.
Yeah.
And so that's been really helpful for me. I've been just meeting people randomly on the streets and at this coffee shop I go to and like everywhere. And they'll just say, I feel like I can tell you my life right now. And they'll just spill it all out. And from there I get to say, let me pray with you. Let me divulge some wisdom that God is giving me to give to you right now. And that has been fueling me up every day, every time I meet somebody, because I'm reminded that I'm not just used inside of the church, but I'm used outside of the church. And in any way that I say yes to God, and I say, yes, you can use me on TikTok, you can use me on Instagram, you can use me, wherever you want, at Winco, at these grocery stores, right? Then he'll use you there. And so that's been really affirming for me, just to remember that God will continue to use me, that there's grace, even when I mess up and I don't carry the weight well, right? Even when God's called me to do something and I'm like, yeah, and then I don't do it. You know what I mean? All of those spaces, God is giving grace. And it's just been uplifting and energizing to meet new people, to be that evangelist that he's called me to be, and not be afraid of messing up or even of somebody, like we said, trolling, or somebody coming up and saying, what are you doing?
Yeah.
This isn't right. So it's been really energizing for me lately.